Being a farmer can certainly have its ups and downs. Casad Family Farms in Jefferson County needed to switch its focus to make sure their farm kept producing. And part of that change includes not only introducing a larger herd of cattle, but also giving back to the earth and the farming community. Regenerative farming, kind of explain what that is.
Regenerative agriculture essentially means that the way that you manage your land, you're producing net positive ecological outcomes.
Okay.
So the way that we plan our crop rotations, we plant cover crop, the way we rotationally graze the cattle and the pigs, we actually have third-party data that shows that we've improved the ecosystem health through that management.
It kind of seems like everything's happening at once and everything's evolving at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, it's constant evolution, and it's like farmers' jobs is to constantly pivot, right? Like weather's gonna throw a lot of unpredictability at you most years. Yes. Market demands are gonna change. So we've always had to evolve every season, but definitely the pivot from vegetable produce farm to largely now kind of like a meat operation has been a big change.
Chris and Kate knew they wanted to grow and produce under ethical practices. Talk about your move from Bend, where you guys were farming, and then moving up here to Jefferson County.
When Chris had his farm, Juniper Jungle Farm, just east of Bend, he started on just a few acres of leased ground, and then each year he just kind of took on more acreage. By the time 2017, he was spread across like 6 different leases. Wow. He was doing 3 farmers markets a week. His CSA had like 130 or 140 members. Wow. And then at that point, he was growing potatoes for wholesale for Jackson's Corner, Blue Eyes, and Deschutes Brewery. So when we moved to Madras, the plan was to just keep scaling that.
Water in Jefferson County proved difficult for the budding farm. Here at Madras, it's a much different growing season than, say, in Bend or on the outskirts of Bend.
It was one of the reasons we moved here is that we have a longer growing season, and typically we have a frost-free summer. So it makes growing certain crops a lot easier. And we have less water, but we're making that water stretch much further. But each year since 2018, that water allotment's been cut. By last year, we were down to 20% of our water allotment, which was only 0.5 acre feet of water.
Wow.
So that's been the huge shift from veggies to more of this rotational grazing, grain, pasture-based model.
And now, Casad Family Farms is focused on their quality meat offerings.
So I prepared for us really an end of the season salad to enjoy some of the last of the tomatoes, the last of the corn, fresh bed of greens that I got from Mahonia, which is a farm out in Sisters. And then on top, we prepared 2 kinds of steaks. We prepared both a bavette steak and a flank steak.
The closed-loop system of the farm works in many ways because what goes into it comes out of it.
All of the grains here came from our fields.
Wow.
So this is totally full from this year's grain harvest. And so here you'll see this is the mix that our animals are eating.
Sure.
So in here you've got a mix of triticale, barley, you've got some wheat and some peas.
Oh, peas in there too. Yeah, you can see them, right?
So that's the basis of our feed mix.
Their feed is free of corn and soy, and they add in alfalfa for some protein.
We bring the cattle in when it's about like 8 inches tall. And so we actually let the cattle do a really quick graze of the cover crops. And that has a couple of benefits. First of all, as they walk through and they chomp those plants, they actually create this response in the plants in which they send up more shoots.
Oh, okay.
So we increase the yield on the grains by letting the cattle come through and do a quick graze.
Wow, it's a win-win.
Win-win. And then as they make their way through those fields, they're urinating and they're pooping their way through, which is honestly the best fertilizer there is.
Sure.
So they are our fertility program, and that is a huge part of regenerative agriculture, is that we don't bring any synthetic fertilizers in here. We produce all the nutrients that this land needs through the animals and the crop rotations.
The grass-fed and grass-finished steer rotate in the fields, acting as co-workers to help keep the soil healthy.
It's like they've got the greatest salad bar you could ever ask for. We grow a really diverse amount of forage for them. So just like humans, like animals, their nutrition is really benefited by a very diverse diet. And that's not just good for the cattle, it's good for all the pollinators, all the bees, all the butterflies, all the moths that also live here. And the more diversity we can have, really, the more the entire ecosystem thrives.
To learn more about regenerative farming, you can head to Casad Family Farms' website. For another edition of Taste This, I'm Emily Kirk.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos from Central Oregon Daily News. And for more news from the high desert, just visit centraloregondaily.com.